Welcome to the Junk Drawer Mamas with your hosts Dina Tricino and Christina Queen. We are so glad you're here with us as we sort through the drama and the trauma of life's hidden struggles to uncover hope and healing with a side of humor on this roller coaster ride we like to call extreme parenting. Whether you're raising a child or a teen with special needs, dealing with challenging behaviors, tackling addiction, mental health issues, or working through the trauma associated with foster care, it's a lot, and we get it. But you don't have to do this alone. So grab a cozy chair, settle in, and let's take this journey together.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Junk Drawer Mamas podcast. We are so excited to be back with you for episode 17. We are digging into the junk drawer this time to something real close to Christina and I's heart because we struggle with this still. So this is going to actually be a two-part series. We talked about this last time that we were leading into this. This is all things food related, whether you struggle with your own issues with food. Part 2 is really going to be about how our kids really struggle with food and picky eaters and how do you deal with that? Because that can still be an extreme situation. I know for us, it's an extreme situation when you have a special needs child that refuses to eat something or eat something healthy. So that's going to be more the part 2. This one, we're going to really be talking about, how this has impacted us as moms and our own journey with that. Hopefully we're not the only ones that struggle with this. I really pray that we're not the only ones and that you could learn from us. And so we're excited to get really deep on this one, but I'm going to turn it over to Christina as she continues to share with everybody about this new Summer Fun Challenge that we just launched last week.
So we started our Facebook group for the Summer Fun Challenge. Well, we started our Facebook community just for all you mamas to join, but we're going to start posting a lot more about the Summer Fun Challenge that we're doing. And
so share again for those that might be listening for the first time, what is the Summer Fun Challenge? And what's the name of the Facebook group?
So the name of the Facebook group is the Junk Drawer Mamas community. And the Summer Fun Challenge, we were sitting here chatting about how I would like to not dread coming into the summer with all the kids and not get that mindset around, gosh, they're going to be here all summer and I'm going to have to figure out something every day and you don't ever get a break during the summer and all that. And if we're not careful, we can get into a place of dread and almost defeat before, we're months away. And obviously that's not a good mindset to come in to summer with. And if we're already stressing about having the kids around and everything we're going to have to do, the kids are going to feel it and the kids are going to know it. So we are trying to avoid that by planning and really making it intentional to enjoy our summer.
Yes.
With our kids by planning some stuff, planning outings. Hopefully moms will give us and everybody in the community some good hacks for this summer, of whether it's things to do, activities that will be fun, to good things to take and just utilize for our own kiddos when we're going out and about or around the house or just
yeah. So if you're a parent
stuff
that is navigating a really extreme or complex situation, that's really what we're talking about. So we welcome all hacks.
Yeah.
But really what we're looking for is things that will help a special needs mom or a mom dealing with an extreme situation that would help her to have a more peaceful, calm summer and enjoy this. But everything we do here is really intentional living. This is a really challenging life to have a child that has extra needs, as we talk about extreme needs, or even just a situation like Christina's got a lot of kids. So that's an extreme situation. You could be a single mom. That's an extreme situation.
Well, I've noticed in the younger community, a lot of moms, for a while, it seemed like it was maybe coming in the 80s and 90s. It was like 2 kids, maybe 3. That's a kind of a big family. Now, women are going back to having 4 and 5 kids and having them kind of back to back and having them really close together,
Purpose?
Yeah, right. So, my oldest daughter, our biological daughter, she has 4 and they're pretty close. They range from 2 years old to 9 years old, but, some of them are a little hyperactive and stuff. So it's extreme when you're, when you're doing that. And just, it doesn't matter. I don't think whether your child has special needs, if you're living in an extreme situation,
Yes.
If you're parenting, if you're like, this feels extreme, Yeah.
So anyway, that's really what we're talking about. Anything that would help us navigate the summer with peace and joy. Again, it's intentional things about our mindset too. It's not just like mom hacks. It could be like, how do I help my well-being as a mom? What can I fix my mind on that would help me stay in that peace and joy? So anyway, that's what what we're going to be talking about mostly.
Yes.
You know, to really get that going.
In the group, I was thinking this episode, we're talking about nutrition and health and our flops and failures with that. We've had some successful times with that, but we've also had some not so successful times with our journeys. But one of the things I was thinking, the great thing about summer is that the fresh fruits and vegetables, everybody knows how expensive they are. And that's always been an excuse or a reason for us in the house. Like, we've got so many kids, you know how expensive it is to feed them healthy. Coming into summer is nice because things are back in season. So the prices go down a little bit on this stuff. And so we were thinking, if any of you mamas out there have got good tips and tricks for helping get the kids to, even if it's sneaky things, like Dina was talking about mixing it and like some pasta sauce that she heard about. Like you can kind of hide it in there.
And you blend it up and put it in your pasta sauce, then they don't even know that there's green veggies in it.
That's what I'm talking about. Those kind of things. I know with my own kiddos, if we make smoothie things and turn them into little popsicles, kids will eat almost anything when it's a popsicle. Why, I don't know. So things like that. Any ways that you guys have found to sneak some fruits and veggies in would be a great thing to share. Anything that you've tried or even heard of and that you would like to try, share it with us. Share it in our Facebook community.
Yes, we want to make sure that this is an active community and that we're all sharing. And Christine and I are not experts by any means on all this stuff.
No.
Even though we've parented for many, many years, some of the things we're still, struggling through or we're just going through. Like as Christina has shared, she's not new as a mom. She's been a mom for 30 years. But she's new to being a mom of a Down syndrome child or new to being a mom of, some of the special needs children that she has. So anyway, we're just very excited about really going into the summer with intention and joy and setting ourselves up so that we know that when those days come that are not the way we want them to go, that we're prepared for it. You know what I mean? That we know it's coming and we prepare for it and don't leave ourselves left open for overwhelm because we weren't even thinking about that.
Yep.
So we're going to jump right into this episode, but I wanted to share with you guys real quickly is that before we get on, Christine and I spent a good hour just talking, decompressing, sharing what we're going through so that we can come to this space to communicate from a place of healing. Like, we're still walking through this.
Yeah.
We might be the ones talking, but we are just like you. We're in the trenches with you. We are digging through our own junk drawers. So we do need time to just talk to each other and to just deal with a lot of the stuff that goes on in our lives. And we pray for all of you all the time. So I just want you to know that we are still knee deep in stuff sometimes. And we come on here. I don't want anyone to ever think that we've got it all together. We don't.
No, we do not.
We are intentional about trying to clean that up, sort through that junk so that we can come to you in a place that is empowering to you. We're not bringing our own pain and trauma to the messages. We share that, but we want to come from a place of healing and empowerment. So we do that before we get on the episode.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Okay. So anyway, this 2-part thing, really about the issues with food. So right off the bat, for me, there's a lot of guilt around food for me. And food has been an issue in general. Food, weight, up and down, constantly battling with self-image and weight. Both Christine and I have our own story, and she'll share hers too. There's a lot of guilt that I have around this because this is something that I'm actually pretty knowledgeable about. I have been studying nutrition, food, fitness for pretty much my whole life. But I still seem to struggle with it myself. So I've said there's many times I've been lower in my weight. Right now I'm on a high end because I don't know. I just can't. I'm still battling in this whole menopausal age of trying to raise a child with extreme needs. So a lot of it is hormonal. But honestly, I still don't make good choices, even though I know what to do. I study this stuff all the time. I'm very fascinated with how the brain works and how the body works and how food interacts with that. And I've been testing my own body out for many years, trying to understand, like, if you're dealing with any kind of mood issues, which I've really struggled with, whether it's depression or just even food could cause rage. It could cause anger. And we think that it is just, some emotional thing, but it's not. It could literally be a chemical imbalance. And so our food, caused by food. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, but I'm also struggling with. So it's one of those things that I don't always have it all together. I do start off every day with good intentions to try to eat healthy.
Same.
But usually it goes sideways by the end of the day, and I could eat healthy all day long. And then by nighttime, There's just this snacking. And a lot of times I always say if I was by myself, if I lived by myself, I'd probably do a lot better. But I do bring food into the house because I know my husband likes it. He's a big snacker, but even my daughter Gracie loves snacks. And a lot of times I will reward her with that. And I know, shame, it's wrong to reward your kids with treats that are sugary or salty, but sometimes it's the only thing that would get her to do the thing that I need her to do. So that, again, I'm not saying that's the right choice. Please understand me. I am not trying to give anybody advice to do that.
I gave my 12-year-old, or not my 12-year-old, my 13-year-old, a bag of Takis to do the dishes yesterday.
What's a Taki?
Those nasty hot chips that the kids like so much. I was like, oh, I need the dishes done. Yeah, the dishes have become nobody's chore. So yes, I bribed her. I mean, I'm just gonna say I
am guilty of that too.
It's not
again,
good,
although I'm not advising that at all to bribe your kids.
No,
with
no,
food.
we are not. Especially bad food, guys.
Yes,
bribe them with an apple. No.
So honestly, when you think about food, every piece of food that enters your child's body for the first time was because we introduced it.
Yeah.
They were created pure. God created them pure, without toxins, without all that stuff. Now, I do understand the science behind it, that whatever the mom eats does affect her child. You know what I'm saying? No different than if you have a mom that is using substance or alcohol. That does affect the child, and they could end up having problems. They could come into the world being addicted to drugs or alcohol right off the bat. So there is things that we eat that do affect, our babies. So I have a new grandson. He's 8 months old now, and he's just been introduced to food, and he loves to eat. This kid is so cute. We were watching him yesterday at our family Easter, and he was just every little bite. He's like, he just really eats it, and he loves every bit of it. And everything he's eating right now is pure. It's fruits and vegetables, and he's now introduced to meat, and he loves everything. He's not eating Cheetos. He's not eating Doritos. He's not eating gummies. But at some point, he's probably going to end up being introduced to that. And I don't know why we do this. So even in other countries, they don't have the kind of processed garbage that we have here. I remember a friend of ours who lived in the Philippines. He was a missionary. And he said that they ate fish and rice and vegetables for breakfast. They didn't eat the kind of stuff that we did. Their kids were never introduced to candy bars or popsicles even or any of that kind of stuff. So then you've got this guilt of I've introduced it, because I remember when Gracie was real little, I gave her she loved black beans and she loved kale and rice all mixed together. It was one of her favorite things. I cannot, to save my life or hers, to get her to eat anything like that now. And I know it's because I introduced the things that now they're hyper palatable, they're sugary sweet. And she's not someone that really likes cookies or cakes, but she loves gummies and she loves chips. That's both of our downfall there.
Well, and I think we have a tendency, whatever is our comfort, whatever is our what we like, and what then our kids, of course, are sitting there watching us, so we give it to them. If it's our comfort food. I'm with Gracie on the chips. I love that kind of stuff, and it's what we've grown up with. It's what we're used to eating. And then when we're stressed out, even if we are eating right, when we get stressed out a lot of times, I know for myself, I'm an emotional eater. I did not realize that up until so a little bit of my background. I was little till I was about 6 years old, and probably around 7 or 8 started getting a little chunky. I started being put on diets when I was about 10 years old, some pretty strict diets.
So I think that's one of the things that bonded us together.
Yes,
I think my first diet I was actually on was 10. I didn't necessarily need to lose weight, but I ate very poorly. So I remember my mom trying to clean up the way we ate. She was on a diet as well. And I was introduced to dieting at 10 years old. But
I was put on some pretty strict diets when I was 10. And what it did, aside from make me feel bad about myself, and like there was something wrong with me, it kind of made me rebellious towards that whole, like,
were you a food hider? Did you hide little Debbie snacks in your closet?
I didn't do that.
I
was
did.
a really good
and then
kid.
We got in trouble because we're like, we didn't eat the little Debbie snacks.
No, I was a really good kid as far as that. I didn't do anything like that. What happened when I was 16, and because I got married when I was 16, I was like, I can eat whatever I want now. Nobody,
Yes.
because I was on diets from the time I was 10 to about
I'm gonna
15,
drink right
16.
from the milk carton.
Right. So I'm like, you know what? I can do whatever I want. And I was pregnant too at 16. So I gained, I don't know, like 50 pounds, about 50 pounds with my son, gained weight fast. And, you know, I kept it. I lost some weight after I had him. And then I got pregnant, had my daughter at 19. I had my son at 17 and my daughter at 19. And so I was around 200 pounds at that point. And I started traveling and selling for my dad, who was a jeweler. And I just was eating fast food all the time. And I packed on some more weight. And so my highest weight was about 270 pounds. And I stayed that weight for, gosh, probably a good 10 years. I'd go up a little bit, down a little bit, 20, 30 pounds. I'd go on diets all the time. I was always on a diet and I was so sick and tired of being on diets because I'd been on diets since I was 10 years old. And, you know, finally I told my husband, we were fostering at the time, and we were moving forward with adoption on our first 4 that we adopted. And I said, it's a chore just to go up and down the stairs carrying, you know, 270 pounds. It was rough. I would be out of breath going up and down the stairs. And we had one of those houses that you'd have to go up the stairs. You get inside to the first floor landing and then you'd have to go up the stairs again.
Yes.
And when you're carrying 4 babies up the stairs from the age of newborn to 2 years old, it was a chore. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try this one last time. And I'm going to try throughout the rest of this summer. And if I can't do it on my own, then I'm going to look into having surgery, having the gastric bypass. And that's what ended up happening. I went through months of counseling and all this in order to have that procedure. And I had the gastric bypass 1 week before I turned 30. So I'm almost 19 years out of surgery, out past that. That first year, I lost about 100 pounds. And I mean, there were some struggles in there a little bit, but I don't regret having it for a second. I can't eat like everybody else eats, but I can eat pretty much what everybody else eats. Now that being said, Dina, you know me well. I don't always
She's a junk food eater.
Right. I don't always make the right choices, and God has dealt with me more than once on this. And I can honestly say that right now I'm in rebellion and in disobedience to what He's told me to do with my health. And I know that we were adding this up yesterday at Easter. One of my nieces said, "How old are you going to be when because we were celebrating the one that just turned a year old yesterday too." And she's like, "Now, how old are you going to be when she's 18?" And I'm like, I'm going to be like
very old.
68 years old. And, you
Oh
know,
my gosh.
and if I don't stop the disobedience and start getting some things in line and stop doing just whatever I want to do, I have a tendency that when my life feels very stressful and very busy, that I don't feel like I can keep control of my eating. I'm like, I can't do that too, because it's a source of like, I'm having a stressful day. I want to go and eat this, and that. That seems to be what I do.
So can I ask a real quick question on that before we get too far into this? So first of all, we want to say we're not in any way trying to, I want to say, shame anybody or make anybody feel any way about whatever size you are or what way you choose to do that. We're just sharing our journey on that. And so whether you agree with whatever choices we've made or not made, we're all in the same, I want to say we're all in the same boat as far as trying to heal a body, heal our emotions, past trauma, all that kind of stuff. And sometimes it takes an extreme situation. So I have so much respect for you that you did that. And I've even thought about doing that myself. And I've had an aunt that did that. And a couple of friends. And I think that's a decision that you make between you, your family, God, and all of that.
Yeah.
But you've got to do whatever works for you. So the question I have, though, is because that's an extreme situation, that doesn't necessarily heal the habits.
Absolutely
so
not.
That's the one thing. So there's a lot of inner healing that has to happen, because I am that size. The size that she was at her heaviest, I am that size. I am that person right now. And so when you get to that size, I'm sorry, but it is not all chemical. It is not, there's some trauma there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times there's a book called Our Body Keeps Score. And it's like that we can store trauma inside of our body that actually becomes weight that's stored in that. So anyway, all that to be said, share a little bit with our viewers. Did that actually change your habits, or did you still struggle with that? Just because the
So
weight was coming off rapidly didn't mean your habits had changed or
no.
your desire to
You
eat
know,
that unhealthy food.
actually, that first year was really depressing for me because I was the one, and I still am. I do Thanksgiving every year, and I had to tell my family and everybody I could still at that time, months after the surgery, I could only eat like a spoonful of like mashed
Yeah.
potatoes, and I'm like, I am not cooking for everybody, and only being able to eat
A
this.
spoonful of mashed
I'm sorry,
potatoes.
but Thanksgiving is canceled, y'all. I just couldn't do it, and it was
That's
kind
so
of
funny.
depressing because I realized, and we had our oldest daughter that we had adopted at the time, and she wasn't even adopted yet at the time. She was 2 years old, and she was going through a lot, very serious procedures on her brain. And there was an issue with one of the procedures. We were at the Cleveland Clinic, and she was in surgery, and I got this phone call. We've got the catheter stuck on a nerve behind her eye, and it's like we can't get it out. And so I immediately, and I did not even know that I had this issue until that exact moment in time. I immediately started searching out food. I'm like, I need to eat. And at that time, I was maybe a year out of surgery. And I'm like, chips. I knew I could eat more chips than anything else. So I'm like, vending machine, vending machine. I
My
found out,
goodness.
I realized at that moment that I was an emotional eater, and that when I got stressed,
So
and
food was your drug of choice because somebody else
absolutely.
might have went to
Yes.
alcohol or
And
even,
it's still even this many years out, and God has told me, and like I said, this is where the disobedience comes in at, because God has already told me multiple times that I go to food for the comfort, looking for that comfort that only He can give.
Mhm.
And I still struggle with that. I still, because that's the other thing too, is we grow up and around happy times like Easter. We just came through Easter, and there's food. There's food. Everything's surrounded by food. And we have a tendency, the foods that are comfort foods that we grew up with, to go back to those. And so then our kids learn that from us, and then it's generational. It continues. So if we don't put our foot down and we don't make a change, it's not gonna happen. Our kids are gonna grow up, and then we're gonna see our grandkids going through the same
Yes.
weight struggles and issues that we do.
Yeah.
And just because, honestly, if I hadn't had the surgery, I would still be struggling with my weight big time. And I still have the ups and downs. But the biggest thing I struggle with, because I'm not still eating the right things, I'm not eating the proteins when I need to eat them. Instead, if I don't feel like eating something that's high protein, then I might eat a couple cookies because I can only eat a couple of them, but I would rather eat that and fill my stomach than the other. So it's still bad choices.
Mhm.
And of course, that's bad. I've struggled with being anemic because of my food choices, because of the things I'm eating. And then if any of you have had struggles with anemia, then that makes sucks your energy out. It makes you very tired. And that's the last thing I can deal with. I mean, and I've dealt
Right.
with it for
With
years,
that many kids, there's no
being
way
tired with all
you
these
can be
with all.
tired like that.
So then what's the answer to that? Then I get a little energy shot and I'll drink half of it. Well, that's super damaging to my body too. So none
Mhm.
of those are good answers to the problems. That honestly, it's discipline, it's being intentional, and it's being obedient, because
Mhm.
God gave us these bodies not to destroy, and we make every excuse in the world. And I'm probably the biggest person I'm talking to right now is me. I make every excuse in the world. I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to, just like I used to with diets when I was always on diets, is I'm going to do this tomorrow because this happened today, or I'm too tired today,
Yeah.
or I didn't food prep, so I can't do it. Or the cost of food, of the healthy food, is too high. It doesn't have to be. If we can figure out, or, there's something that also I'm sure that every single one of us could find to lay down, whether it's your Starbucks coffee, or whether it's, something else, shopping, maybe doing a little bit of extra here or there. There's something that we could set aside to spend a little bit more on quality food instead of the prepackaged crap that we eat every day. I mean, that's what I find, is that when my life gets busy, I revert back to that, is what it feels like. That feels like my habits and my tendencies of what I do. And I know I've got to get out of that habit, because Easter was very revealing to me as far as these kids. This Easter, I was very purposeful to we only did so many eggs with candy in it, and I didn't put almost any candy in Easter baskets. I was very careful with that. Most of the eggs had like the little poppet rings or poppet bracelets and fidgets and all that stuff. Well, what I found is that my 4-year-olds that had some candy, which was a whole lot more than what they ever have. For Easter, we did not give them a nap like they normally have a nap. We're just like, oh, they're going to be so tired. They're going to go to sleep so good tonight. They didn't. They did not go to sleep good. They were up in their beds tossing and turning for at least 2 hours. And normally on any other day, they would have been fast asleep. But it was all that sugar and all the junk that they ate that kept them awake. And it doesn't just keep them awake, but it'll keep them fussy or whiny or bad attitudes or even raging. It can cause somebody to go into a complete funky mood real quick. It causes me to if I eat the wrong things. I know that.
And that's definitely more of what next episode is.
Yes.
We're going to get real deep into how food affects our mood.
Yeah.
And, you know, like real quick, honestly, if we are not feeling well because we ate something bad, and you know your mood, like for me, if I eat fast food at all, my mood, it affects my mood. Well, of course it's going to affect my child's the same, but yet she ends up getting in trouble because she just gave me a bad attitude. But I don't get in trouble if I give her a bad attitude.
Right.
You know? So then there's that issue
For
on
sure.
there too. But I want to go back for a minute before we get too far, because when you were talking about this as far as obedience, so this is one of those things that I think is an overlooked, and again, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it is a sin. When we overeat, it's the sin of gluttony or overindulgence. And the Bible is very clear about that. And this is one that I've struggled with. And how many times have we prayed for God to help us or you know, release us from that bondage of food or gluttony or whatever that is? Or even if we're praying for healing, how many times we prayed for healing because we are struggling with a medical issue, like you were saying, when you eat a certain way, now your body's anemic or whatever that is. And then we pray for it, or we're even expecting for the healing, but then we turn around and we still do the same choices that we did before. So when you're talking about the obedience part of that, this is very important for us to acknowledge it, because that's really where true transformation and healing begins, is first of all, recognizing it in yourself, being self-aware enough to say, you know what, this is not just bad food choices. There is an issue here that is deeper than that. Why am I choosing the 3 cookies over protein, which I know my body needs?
Absolutely.
And I struggle with that. And then what comes along with that, the way the enemy works, is
guilt and shame.
Shame, guilt. I can't believe you did that.
You screwed up
again. You know, you did it again. So I went through that with this Easter, because I did overindulge on the candy for my family, because this was the first year in many years that we were all together and all the grandkids. So I wanted to go overboard, and I bought way too much candy for them, for us. And I ate a lot of it myself. And then there's that guilt of, oh my gosh, we spent the money we shouldn't have spent. That was really stupid. Or why, you know, here I am trying to educate about eating healthy, and I went and did that. So then the enemy will use that to wreak havoc. And that is an open door.
Yes,
and
it is.
It really is an open door for the enemy to come in, because we've given him legal access, because we have gone against our own knowing. Once you know and you understand, and God is, like you said, you've been really in your spirit, you've been feeling that nudging that God is saying it's time to get your health in order. And God is not one that condemns, shames, or anything. He's will nudge you and say, this area of your life needs to be cleaned up.
He's not going to force us to do anything.
Right. But if we go against that, you call it whatever you want. You call it intuition, gut feeling, whatever. It's the Holy Spirit. Okay. If you're going against that, then that is an open door. That is sin. If you know you're supposed to do that. So that's really what I wrestle with.
Well, excess with anything,
honestly, the
like
biggest part of that is the guilt, knowing that I shouldn't do that, feeding it to 𝘂𝗲 anyway, giving it to my grandkids, you know, or even buying things that I know my old adult kids like because they're coming over.
And
I know it's
to be
not
happy.
healthy.
You want them to enjoy the day. And, you know, I always said, I grew up in church. I grew up, you know, pray over your food and all that. And I got to a point where I wouldn't pray over my food. I'd get around other Christians or whatever. People would, oh, you got to pray. We're getting ready to eat. And I just stopped praying over my food a long time ago. Honestly, it was out of guilt and out of, I guess, being condemned, because I did not feel like I could look at the donut that I was getting ready to put in my mouth, or the junk.
Because Tim Hawkins is like, please take this Cheeto and turn it into a carrot stick as it goes down.
Because I'm like, no,
please,
how
God,
can
change
I say,
the molecular structure
God,
of this junk food
donut to strengthen and nourish my body? Like, no, it doesn't work like that. We know if we're putting junk in, how can I ask God to bless that?
I mean, it's just,
it's not. And how can I pray over all the things that's going on in my body, that's going all over, that's going wrong, that I'm having health issues when I'm putting that in? I
Yeah.
know that I am causing
It's
damage to
also
my body.
it's not just food we put in,
Right.
it's toxic thinking, it's the
Yes.
shame, the guilt,
Yeah,
that all
all of it.
affects the chemical makeup of
Absolutely.
our body, and that
Yep.
causes a lot of the medical
Now, I'm not
issues as
telling
well.
anybody to not pray if you're having health issues. I still pray all the time. I'm just
Yes.
saying we have to have accountability. If we know
Mhm.
that we're putting junk in and we're not doing the right things, we can't expect, well, God, why aren't you doing your part? Why aren't you healing me when you're not doing your part either? You're
Yeah.
absolutely being disobedient to what you know is the right thing to do. And even if
Mhm.
God hasn't directly spoken to you and say, hey, don't do that, we all are smart enough to know, just like we tell our kids, no, you can't have that donut before you have your meal. Why? Because it's not good for you. We
Right.
want them to have the nutritious stuff. It's the same thing with us. Come on. We all know better than what we're doing. We do it because we want it. It's because of our emotions and we want what we want because it makes
Mhm.
us feel good. And that's the bottom line. It's just out of it, there's no self-control there. There's no self-control. And so we want what we want when we want it. And like I said, I am the number one guilty person. I will say it right now. I am, but I do want to get away from that. I want to
Yes, me too.
we can't have our kids start learning the right things if we're constantly teaching them and showing them the wrong things. Like
Mhm.
my kids, I know, especially my kids that are here with me daily, because some of them go to school and some are homeschool. They're like, Mom, let's eat out. What are we going to get for lunch? I'm like, we can't eat out every day. Oh, come on. Why? Why did they do that? Because they know that I've given into it so many times, and
Yes,
they
I
know
deal with the
that
same
what
thing with Gracie.
I,
Let's stop and
yeah,
get fast food. We're not doing that.
yep,
Like, we've done it so
yes,
much that now it's, to
it's
the
just a
point
thing.
where
It's what we do.
I was just talking about that because we had a house fire. So we were out of our house for 8 months. And for the first month and a half, we were in a hotel and we had to eat out every night. We
Yep,
didn't have any food in the hotel, so the insurance company paid for us to eat. So Gracie got real comfortable going to a
yes,
fast food 3 times a day. We had
yeah,
to eat out. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so, like, no, that's not how we normally live. But now it's hard to break her from that.
yeah,
And we could have chosen healthier meals, but
yeah.
honestly, we don't. We
No,
did
well, when we
some
get
restaurants, but
stressed or depressed
yeah.
or whatever, then we do what's comfortable. We do what makes us feel good because let's face it,
Mhm.
when we're already miserable in another area, any area that's going to bring you comfort or joy or whatever,
Mhm.
even if it's only for 20 minutes and then you feel like crap after eating it,
Yeah.
that's what we have a tendency to do. And when our lives are already stressful and hard, we do what's easy. We do what's easy because if not, it's another hard thing that we have to do.
Yeah.
And that's something that we are volunteering like there's things that we don't necessarily volunteer to do, like change 4-year-olds diapers. Still, it's just you have to do it. So if we're voluntarily choosing to eat healthier, then that's something that we're saying, okay, I'm going to take control over this. And if you're already struggling with self-control, you're probably not going to do it. And that's the where I've been. That's the place
There's
where
the
I've been.
battle of you say that, you start that, you go back to it,
Yep.
now you feel guilty
Yeah,
again. And a lot of times
exactly.
guilt can send you down a spiral of, well, I already
Yep.
did this, I might as well do something else.
Yeah.
But there's another point to this that I wanted before we're getting close to the end of this
Yeah.
episode. I feel like we could talk for
Yes.
hours about this.
Yes.
But anyway, there's a couple things here because we were talking about this almost to the form of like that was your drug of choice. So here's the one thing that I think is the most socially accepted addiction. So if you were struggling with alcohol or you were struggling with narcotics, or even honestly, if you were struggling with a sexual addiction or whatever, people understand that's hard.
Yep.
They want you free from that. They would never put you in any kind of danger and put that in front of you. But when it comes to food, that is something that you can't actually completely detox from. And I don't mean detox like eating healthy versus, I'm saying you can't just say, I'm never going to eat again. Like you
Right.
can say, I can't put alcohol by me at all. I can't do this at all. It is one of the things that is the most socially accepted sin in church, where every function that you have at church is filled with potlucks and things like that that are not healthy. But you don't know that the people that are going to that might be struggling like a drug addict struggles with that. And I'm not saying everybody that struggles with eating poorly is dealing with it in that level.
Yeah.
Both Christine and I have dealt with it at that level
Yeah.
where it literally feels like a drug and you feel helpless to stop it. But it's one of those things that not only is it socially acceptable, but the other thing is that if it's one that you wear on the outside.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, if I was struggling with any of those other things, nobody would know. I look no different than anybody else. But if I'm heavy, then you can tell what
Yep.
my drug of choice is. And
Yeah.
so I find that because of that, a lot of times I will avoid certain circumstances. But even knowing like right now I need to find a new doctor for Gracie. It's been a long time since I've taken her. We only usually go if there's like an emergency or she's got like some sort of infection or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't go for anything else, but I do believe there is something going on with her thyroid. And I feel this shame to take her because I know that she probably needs something to deal with her. You know, she's definitely gained a lot of weight. And I'm thinking the doctor's going to look at me and say, she's gained weight because of you. You're overweight too. Why do you think your child's overweight? So that's where pride comes in. I'm like, I'm not going to put myself in that situation, have the doctor look at me
Yeah.
and say, well, her mom's fat too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's why her kid's like that. So I'm like, I can't do it. But then that's not good. It's not good for her. It's not good for me. I'm trying to avoid it
Yeah.
so that I don't look bad instead of just trying to ask for help and saying,
Yeah.
I really need help. We both need
Yeah.
help. Put us both on whatever you
Yeah, right.
need to do.
Yeah.
Find a doctor that will help us both, you know. And so that again, that's that where the enemy comes in. He tries to twist it, make you feel bad, make you
Yeah.
feel ashamed,
Yep.
you know. And people are so quick to say, just don't eat that much, just don't eat, just exercise more. Like it's not always that simple. Sometimes it's a lot harder than you think. And being at a family function where all this stuff is
Yeah.
around you that we don't even eat anyway, you don't realize how deeply hard that is. Just like if we were to all be celebrating with alcohol and somebody was an
Yep.
alcoholic and they were doing their best to try to not participate, and
Yeah.
they might leave the party and go end up having a drink,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
And so anyway,
absolutely.
this is something that
It is. It's
very close to our hearts. We
it
both
is.
struggled
It
with
is
it,
because
and
we
we know
both
how
struggled
hard
with
it
it
is.
a great deal. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I've been through what I mean, this has been since like I said, 6 years old. So I've been spent most of my life overweight. And even though I'm not currently overweight and I haven't really been overweight since I had surgery, your body image and the way you see yourself is still, you know, it's still rough. I've had multiple surgeries. A couple years ago, I went to Tijuana to have the whole body lift and do all that just to try to I had so much excess skin that I carried for years from my poor choices. And it is all that shame and guilt. It's just, it's continuous. So you're like, well, you know, I did all of this, I get this body, but now I've got all this loose skin. What's the point? And there's like a kind of just a depression that kind of goes hand in hand with that weight stuff. There's that mindset of, well, I messed up again, so why even try?
Yeah.
And you have to feel like you're doing it all over again, and then you'll do great for a while, and then you plummet again. You're like, I just can never get a hold of this. And I still, even though I lost the weight, they'll tell you it's a tool because you can reverse the surgery. I know a lot of people that have and have gained all the weight back. But my mindset around food is still not healthy. It is still completely wrong.
If
It's
I'm not
still using it
mistaken,
for
can't you gain back the weight even if it's not
absolutely.
reversed?
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah.
people that have had the surgery and then
Yeah,
that could
I
cause a
know a lot
lot
of
of
people who
internal
have.
problems
Yeah,
to their
a lot of people have.
yeah.
Yeah, you can just stretch that right back out. You can just
Mhm.
regain all that weight. But yeah, and it's not because I mean I've listened to what the doctor said to an extent, but I still haven't done that because instead of doing the proteins that I should be, like I said, you know, I'm gonna eat chips or cookies or whatever, which is zero nutrition. It's the opposite of nutritional
Yeah.
for me. So, and again, I'm like I'm doing the menopausal thing. I was putting, you know, got early menopause because of having the gastric bypass. So I've been in that for a few years now. And so I'm having hot flashes and dealing with newborns and dealing with it, you know, and I'm like,
You should not be in menopause while you're raising newborns, I'm telling you. But
yeah,
that's part
yeah,
of the
a hot
extreme life, I'm
flash.
telling you.
Yeah, in the middle of the night. Yeah, it is, right. But yeah, honestly, I mean, it becomes very overwhelming to us. And if we can't get a hold of it and we
Yeah.
can't deal with it, then we can't expect our kids to, and we're setting them up for what we're walking through now. What we walk
Yeah.
through for our whole lives. I don't want my kids and my grandbabies to have
But what
to
do you do when you've already damaged them? Like right now, your kids are young.
well,
But what do you do when, you know,
so
your
you know
children
what
are
I've seen?
already overweight and they're already experiencing health issues, and now you've got a special needs child like Gracie that doesn't understand why you're trying to get her to eat healthy. And we'll talk more about this next
Yeah, in the next
episode.
episode. But
But
what I've
it's
noticed
like I don't
though,
know what to do now. I know I'm the cause of it. Both my husband and I, or anybody that feeds her anything
the
that she
thing
shouldn't, is
about
the cause
kids
of it. But
though, is
I don't
that
know how
if
to
we
reverse the
change,
damage that I've
if
caused.
you change and they see you doing that, I noticed. So me and my husband went primarily plant-based a couple years ago. We did it for about a whole year. I mean, we really did. He lost, I don't know what it is with guys, but man, he lost a ton of weight really fast. And I was like, which, you know, I lost like 20
My
pounds.
husband could literally just stop putting sugar in his coffee and lose 20
Just,
pounds.
yeah,
And I don't
same
even
with me.
eat sugar in my
Right.
coffee. I'm like,
But
that doesn't
what
work
I
for
did
me.
notice is that me and my husband did it. We was not forcing the kids to do it, but we were buying healthy things and that stuff. And I was trying to make more healthy meals. My kids were excited about it. My kids loved it. They're like, Mom, can we eat healthy with you? And and then my grandbabies would come over and they would say, Mammal, can I eat one of those healthy? I was making black bean burgers. And I didn't think the grandkids would like them at all. And especially my one granddaughter, she's like, Mammal, can I have one of those good hamburgers that you made, the healthy ones? Can I have one of those smoothies that, you know? And so I was just making all fruits and vegetable smoothies and the kids were loving it. My grandbabies were loving it. So I think when the kids see us doing it, even if they don't jump on board at first, I think their mindset starts to change just like ours does. So it wasn't instant with my kids, but by the end of that year, all my kids were like, and my kids now are still asking me, when are you going to start eating healthy again? I want to eat they're asking. So that's another.
Ґ'ṛcie actually does want to eat healthy. She prays. She says she prayed to Jesus because she wants to eat healthy. She really does. And part of it like breaks my heart that I've contributed to that. But then when we actually start to do it, she doesn't want to do it. And then there's a battle, which again, next episode, we're going to talk a lot about what do you do when you've got a very resistant
And any of
kid to
you
that.
moms, please, we're begging you, if you've got any good advice, good mom hacks or whatever that can get us to help us sneak stuff in, help us, you know, in any way, help other moms.
Not that kind of sneaking in,
No,
but like
no.
sneaking healthy vegetables.
Like sneaking in healthy stuff or ways to introduce things. Any good mom hacks that you can share with the community.
Cooking with your kids helps when we cook healthy and she's actually
participating.
Making the stuff, she's more likely to eat it
because she
always,
did it.
but she likes the idea of cooking it, but not necessarily eating it.
Well, maybe that helps get them involved. My kids was doing it too. They were helping make the smoothies. Can I do this? Can I do that? And then I would try it and I'd be like, oh, that's gross. And the kids are like, this is good. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Not so much, but okay. Hey, if they like it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
But
well, anyway, we're going to bring this one to a close and we're excited about next week. But I always try to leave with just from our heart to yours and try to give some biblical advice on this as well, biblical truths on this as well. God wants us healed.
Yes.
He does not shame us or condemn us, even to those moms that are the ones that have contributed to the downfall of your child's health. He sees that. Right. He sees that. He knows that. He loves us unconditionally. Our salvation, his love for us is not tied to what we eat.
Right.
But we do need to be obedient to making sure that we take care of the body that we have, because especially if you're a mom that's dealing with an extreme situation, your health is key in order to be able to navigate that every single day. Your strength, your
energy.
I
need it to keep up at almost 50 years old. I'm getting ready to be 49 next month. I need energy that I just don't have right now.
In another month or so.
I need energy to chase a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old and 2 4-year-olds and all the rest of them all the way up.
Or a 14-year-old that is like a toddler.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yes, right. There you go. Yeah, so we all know the right thing to do. We're just choosing not to do it because it is hard. This is one of the hardest things in life, is to get your health and your diet right. It's probably $1 billion industry, health and diet and fitness. Why? Because it's so hard. It is so hard for us to do. So,
but here's the thing that I want to leave everybody with. Don't stop trying.
Right.
Don't give up. Don't give up trying.
No.
You know what I mean? And so my mom actually wrote a book, and it's called Never, Ever, Ever Give Up. And it's all about faith through your journey of weight loss and all of that. But never, ever, ever give up. It doesn't really matter what it is you're walking through. God will get you through that, but don't stop trying. And I always say, I'm never going to stop trying. Although I make a lot of mistakes when it comes to food and my health and even that of my child, I'm not going to stop. I'm never going to stop trying to be the better version of myself when it comes to health and healing and all of that.
Yep. Absolutely agree. So, the school bus just pulled up, so we're going to get very, very abruptly interrupted
because
here.
Again, we're two moms coming from our own homes and kids in the background. I can see them running up the driveway
right now. It's about to go down.
It's about to go down. Anyway, we just thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was such a good episode. And again, I could talk much longer than we did about this. And I hope we're not the only moms that have made mistakes and really screwed up when it comes to our children's health. Next episode, we're going to go a little bit deeper into, even a lot of the science behind how food affects our children and even just in our world right now when you're inundated with eat plant-based, eat carnivore, eat keto,
Yeah.
just move more, just
Yeah.
exercise, eat less and move more. We're going to kind of break down a lot of that because some of it is myth. Some of it actually does work. Obviously, a lot of things work. I think it's more about just being consistent to
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So anyway, thank you so much for being a part
Yes.
of this journey. We love you guys. Can't wait to see you guys again next week. Have an awesome week.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us and listening to the Junk Drawer Mamas podcast. If today's episode encouraged you, share it with a mom who could use a little extra love and support. We'd love to hear from you too. Leave us a review and let us know what you think, or send us your ideas for what you want us to tackle in the junk drawer. You can email us anytime at junkdrawermamas@gmail.com. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow Dina at Specially Empowered Moms and Christina at Faith Through Foster Care for more encouragement and updates on our upcoming books. From two mamas in the throes of extreme parenting, we want you to know that you're doing a great job, mama, and you don't have to have it all together. But what's hidden can't be healed, so let's keep sorting through it together, one step, one story, and one laugh at a time. See you next time when we tackle another item in the junk drawer of life. Have an awesome week.